With iPadOS 26, we finally have the Journal app on iPad. The Journal app was released on iPhone back in 2023 with iOS 17, and I'm so happy that it's also finally now being released on iPad as well. I prefer to do journaling and things like that on my iPad rather than on my iPhone, and also I love to write when I'm doing any type of journaling, and luckily with the release of the Journal app on iPad, we can also now use the Apple Pencil. At the time of filming this, iPadOS 26 isn't officially out yet. We are still in beta, and the public beta just released, so if you want to get your hands on that, it is now available. But the official launch of iPadOS 26 is probably expected around mid-September when the new iPhones are also released. So let's get into the Journal app on iPad. So here we are on iPadOS 26. Like I already said, this is still in beta, the one that I have here right now, but I wanted to get this video out so you knew what to expect from the Journal app, and whenever the official release is, then this video is out for you guys. But here is the Journal app if you're not familiar with it. Once you've updated your iPad to iPadOS 26, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on your iPad automatically, but if not, you can just find it in the App Store as well. But let's go into the app so you can see what it looks like. So first off, you will see we have a side panel here, and then we have all of our journal entries here as well. I'm going to first cover the side panel here. So you will see we have Insights. So this will give you some more information about your habits when it comes to using the Journal app. So you will see your streak, so how many days in a row you've basically done journaling. It gives you some other statistics, how many words you've written, how many days you've journaled, how many places you've visited, and the type of places those are. And then you'll see like a calendar view of when you added in entries. So this just gives you some more information about your journaling habits. Then you have places. So it just shows you different places that you've been and journaled about in a little map view. And then it shows you all the different journals that you have. Now this is new with iOS 26 and iPadOS 26. Previously, we only had one journal, but now you can have more than one journal. So for instance, you can have one for just like your journal, and then you can have one for your reflections, which I will be getting to reflections, and you can have one, maybe let's make one for a brain dump. So if you just want a place to just write down a bunch of random thoughts, you can go ahead and do that here. So you can give your journals a title and a little icon and choose the color that you want, and then it will be here in this side panel here. So then you will see your different sections within the Journal app. You'll also see at the top of the sidebar we have these three dots where you can go ahead and edit the sidebar. So I don't want places showing, I only want the insights and obviously my journals. And you can also from here rearrange your journals if you have more than one. So I'm just gonna click on that. So now that is hidden and I only have my insights and my journal. And you can also hide your sidebar away by just clicking on this little icon here. So here we have all my entries that I've logged into the Journal app. I haven't used this a ton, especially like I said, I don't really like to do any journaling on my phone, so that's why I never really reach for it. But yeah, these are all the entries that I have in the Journal app. It does sync across my iPad and my iPhone. You can also maybe like go to a different journal and then it will show the title of that journal there. As you can see here is just your journal section. But yeah, it just shows you all your entries that you've already made. Then just to quickly show you, here are a few other UI elements. So this plus button here allows you to create a new entry, which I will get to. Then we have these three dots here with a few different options. So first off, you can sort by and set what you want to sort your journal by, whether it's the entry date or the moment date, which are different. So the entry date is when you made the entry and the moment date is when that moment happened. So it will use information like your photos that you added in or when you were at a certain location, and that will be the moment date. Then we have here select entries, and then you can just go through and select if you want to maybe edit some or delete some or bulk move some entries into a different journal maybe. Then we just have here export and print. So you can go ahead and export your journal entries and save them to files. Then we also have a search bar here. So here you can search for something specific that you maybe wrote in a journal entry, or what you can also do is go ahead and choose like photos. So then it will just show you all your entries that has photos in them, or you can choose all your entries that have videos or all your entries that have drawings. So you can go ahead and filter basically everything that's shown here with these suggestions or just whatever you're typing in. So that's the overall UI of the Journal app. Of course, it does incorporate a lot of the liquid glass design that is now new with iPadOS 26 with these little menu bars and things like that. But overall, it's pretty similar to what we had with iPhone, but obviously just for iPad now. But now let's get to the most important part, which is actually creating an entry. So I'm going to click on this plus button here, and then we're going to have a new entry open up. So I'm first going to just cover this toolbar here at the top and how you use it and how it can actually be useful when it comes to your journaling. So the first option is probably my favorite and what I really use a lot. So this will give you recommendations and suggestions about what to journal. So here you will see recommended, and it will give you a bunch of different recommendations based on photos, places you've been, people you talked to. That's all here. So you will see this is my dad that I recently talked to, so I can write about that. It gives me pet moments. This is the reflect that I was talking about, where I said you could have a journal just for reflections, since it gives you a nice little prompt and you can just write about that. So this is recall a recent moment where you felt inspired, think about what led you to that moment. So that's a nice like separate thing that you can do, maybe apart from just like writing about a memory or somewhere you've been. You can also click on this little refresh button to just cycle through different prompts to find one that you want to write about. So that is really nice. If you don't know what to journal about, then these will really help you. But yeah, it just gives you a bunch of suggestions on what you can journal about. So that's the recommended section. Then you can also go to recent, and that will show you recent activities that you've done that you can journal about. So again, we have places that I've been, we have photos that I took, and it just shows you basically photos from certain days that I can now go ahead and journal about. So that is a really helpful section that I really like to take advantage of when I don't know what to journal about. But now if you don't want to go that route, you can also just add in manually all those things that they suggest in that section. So here you will see we have a photo section, so that just allows you to manually import any photos that you want to import and write about. This camera icon opens up the camera app, so you can take a photo and then it comes directly into the journal app. And you can actually go to settings, to apps, and then go to the journal app right here. And there are a few things you can toggle here, but what you can do also is you can turn on save to photos. So that says save photos and videos taken in the journal app to the photos app. So you can choose whether you want the photos that you've taken in the journal app to be saved to photos as well, or if you just want it to stay in the journal app. So that is by default off, I believe, but you can turn that on. While I'm here, I can also show you can lock your journal. So that means that it will require Face ID or a passcode to open up the journal app. So if you want it to be a bit more private, you don't want just anyone being able to access the journal app, then you can add a little passcode or use Face ID. Then you can also go here to new entry and play around with some default settings. So for instance, for a new entry, it will add your current location. You can turn that off or on. I don't really want that, but that is something you can do. You can also turn on or off if you want it to add an entry title all the time. So you can say always, only for moments, or never. And then you can also set whether you want the new entry to have the moment date. So that is when that event happened. So you can also turn that off or on. If you're having trouble with syncing your iPad journal app to your iPhone, you can also go here to journaling suggestions and privacy and security and make sure that the journal app is also turned on for sync to iPad. So make sure that is also turned on if you're having any issues with that. That is the journal app settings. Then you also have here location. So here you can see everything that is close to you, all the places that are close to you if you want to talk about one of those places. Or you can go to in my journal and it will show you all the places that you've journaled about in the past if you want to find a location from one of those places as well. Then we have here audio. So this allows you to create a voice memo or an audio recording. So I can just start recording and it will record my voice and whatever I'm saying. You can also go here to turn on dictation. So that will just give you a preview of whatever you're saying in text form. But then once you're happy with that, you can also stop, click on done. and then you will have your little audio clip there. So this is really nice if you maybe want to just talk about something that happened, maybe you want to rant about something, how you're feeling, and you just want to get it all out but don't want to type or write it out, then this is a nice option for you. And then we have here our wellness section, and this is going to sync with the Apple Health app. So it's going to ask you how you're feeling in this moment. So I can just say very pleasant. It has this little icon. Again, this is in the Apple Health app as well. And then I can also say what best describes this feeling. And then next, what's having the biggest impact on you. And then once you're happy with all your answers, it's gonna log that and it will show you that information here at the top. Then you will see here we have some other options. So the AA is for when you're typing. So when I go here to actually start writing my entry, then that will become available. So here I can just play around with my formatting of my text, whether I want something to be bold, italicized, underlined, all that, whether I want it to be in a bulleted list, a numbered list, and then of course just like your text color and all that. So that is text, and then we have our little pencil tool here. So this allows us to use the Apple Pencil now in the Journal app, which is what I was really excited about when I heard that it was coming to iPad. So now you can scribble, you can write, you can doodle, draw, whatever you want in the Journal app using all the tools that we have for our Apple Pencil. So if you're not familiar with this, you have like the pen tool, a monoline tool, highlighter, eraser. This is a lasso tool, so if you want to move something around, you can do that. You have a ruler if you want to use that. You have the pencil, you have a crayon, calligraphy pen. This is the new pen that they added with iPadOS 26. It's called a reed pen, I think. And that's kind of like a calligraphy style pen. And then we have here just this like brush pen type, almost like a watercolor pen. But yeah, basically you can just now write out journal entries or draw in your Journal app. And then just lastly, we just have these 3 dots for some more options. Like you can set the entry date, so you can change it to a different date if you want to change that. Or you can use the entry created date. You can choose which journal you want this entry to be saved in, whether it's your journal, your brain dump, reflection, whatever you've created for different journals. And then we have here add bookmark, remove title, so that will just remove that option, so then it's just like you're writing. Then you can also find an entry, so you can search something that's in this entry and maybe search like a certain word. If you have maybe like a longer entry, this could be helpful to find a specific section that you spoke about something or wrote about something. And then you can also just delete the entry from here. I'm still really curious to see how the entire UI will work with a mixture of text and handwriting. Since it's in beta, I think it's a little bit glitchy with that, because for the handwriting section, when my iPad is in landscape like right now, I can't really scroll through an entry that has handwriting, but once I turn my iPad to portrait, then it actually works better. And also when you have an entry that is like text and you also want to add in any writing, it goes into this little box here, which you can then just do your writing in like that. And then you can also toggle how large you want that to be, so you can make it smaller. But yeah, like I said, I'm not quite sure how this works yet and how that will look in the entire entry. But that we will see closer to the official release of iPadOS 26. But overall, I am really happy with the use of the app and just how everything works. Like I said, I just think we have some bugs and things that still just need to be sorted out, but that's because I'm on the developer beta still. So it is a bit more buggy and glitchy than maybe the public beta or just obviously the official release. But like, this just makes me so happy that I can have my handwriting here and little doodles and things. It just makes it feel more like a journal to me, but that really just depends on what you love for journaling. Maybe you are just someone who just wants to type things out. But what also really excites me is that I can now also connect my iPad to my keyboard case for my iPad and then just type out journal entries that way. That's also to me more comfortable than typing on the screen. Overall, I think this is just really nice that it is on iPad. So that is the Journal app on iPad. Let me know in the comments down below if this is something that you're gonna be using, or do you prefer having it just on your phone? I'm really excited for the official release of iOS and iPadOS 26, so we can get the full fleshed out version of the software without any bugs or anything. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.